Slaven. And Slaven scores. It's 2-1 to Middlesbrough. Slaven's played the space on beautiful ball through for Slaven, and he scored! Oh, a brilliant goal from Bernie Slaven. Now Bernie Slaven. Good save by Lukic. Bernie Slaven, the hero of Ayresome Park, has thrilled countless thousands with his impish skills and prolific scoring feats. A son of Scotland, this former gardener has blossomed into one of the great goal scorers of our time. A man slight of build yet huge of heart, he has become a legend on Teesside, a goal-scoring genius whose impish skill on the ball has thrilled and amazed us all. It was with Albion Rovers that he first hit the headlines, when in season 1984-85 he was the top shot in Scotland with 31 goals. Anxious to become a full-time professional, Bernie wrote to all the top clubs in England requesting a trial. Middlesbrough were the first to respond, and eventually signed the 25-year-old striker for a bargain £25,000.
Barry, we've heard a lot about the famous letters that Bernie wrote out to every club. Eventually it was your desk that the letter landed on. So what happened from there?
Well, usual procedure from the manager's office is to dump all the letters applying for trials and players writing in for games on the chief scout's desk. And this one just stood out that somebody in the second division in Scotland had scored 31 goals. And I thought, well, maybe second division football in Scotland isn't that good, but really 31 goals is 31 goals anyway.
Barry Geldart, who was chief scout at the time, came in with a letter, asked me what I wanted to do about it, and we really couldn't afford not to look at anybody at that stage. We weren't blessed with a wealth of talent. We said, get the boy down, and he came to us. I first met him actually in the Billing Mars. We had a club night, and he was there with a glass of Coke in his hand. I thought, being a typical Scotsman, there would be something a little bit stiffer in it. I asked him straight away what was in the glass. He said, oh, just a Coke. And I thought, well, I can't believe that, being a Scotsman, but apparently he is teetotal and still is to this day. So I was a little bit suspicious with Bernie, to say the least, to start with. He came to us on trial. He had a record of being the top scorer in Scotland. He'd won the Golden Boot Award. And I thought, well, you know, why haven't the clubs in Scotland looked at him and taken him there if he had such a good achievement? I went with Barry to Grimsby, and we watched him play, and he hadn't played for about 2 months. He'd been in dispute with his club, Albion Rovers, and it was evident after 10 minutes he was far and above, better than anything I had at the club. He was light years ahead of everybody in terms of speed of thought, and he had about 12, 13 goal attempts on the evening. I think we drew 0-0 if I'm right. It's going back a little bit now. But he was an outstanding talent, and it didn't take a genius to suss that out. I remember going back in the car in the night thinking, you know what, if we could get him and tempt Albion Rovers to part with him, what a great acquisition he would be.
That takes a lot to actually sit down and have to compose a letter that some stranger's going to pick up to say, look, I'm Bernie Slaven, you should have me in your team, which is virtually what you must have had to say.
Yeah, well, what it was, the guy who was idea it was from the press. I'll not say what Peter, but he was for the press, so he had a good idea what to write, and we worked out between us, and he got them all printed, and I signed the bottom of them, and it was just sort of like, my name's Bernie Slaven, I'm 24 years old, Scotland's top scorer, and just basically went for a trial.
Well, this is the original letter from Bernie, and I believe he wrote to all first and second division clubs in England, and it just goes on to really say that he has freedom of contract, and he was keen to sample full-time football in England, and he tells people in it that he scored 31 goals for Albion Rovers, in fact received, I think it was a silver boot or the golden boot in Scotland for the highest scorer. And the little bits of scribble on there are what any scout would do really, just little brief notes on people he's checked with to make sure he's of good character. Even on the back there's a little bit from John Kelman at Celtic, who says he's very reliable and could go all the way. John Kelman confirmed that he was a good type of lad, good living lad. That's all we needed to know.
Bernie's rise to fame was first inspired by his father, Hugh, who introduced him to a ball with impromptu practice sessions in the echoing corridors of their Glasgow tenement apartment. Many will be surprised to learn that as a primary school player, Bernie played left back. Here he is in the school picture, top right-hand corner. He moved to left half at secondary school, a position he later filled for Easter Craigs and Glencairn as an amateur.
When I started looking at this yesterday, I got the old Rocklands out and looked at your Scottish career. Was it Morton you started off at?
Yeah, I started at Morton, and people say goals-wise I only scored like one goal at 14 games. I was only a French player, and I was a left half originally, believe it or not. I played left half, and I was in and out of the team. If there's 14 appearances, I only played about 4 full games. The rest of them was coming on as sub.
And then Airdrie and Queen of the South?
Airdrie, I only went to Airdrie on a month's loan, and before the month was up I signed a form wanting away because I didn't enjoy it. So I eventually left them. But the Queen of the South, I only went there for 1.5 games, only to help an ex-Morton player out. You know, I wouldn't even class him as teams I've been with. Morton I was with for 3 years, but as I say I was a French player.
And then Albion Rovers, that's where you actually started the old goal
Well,
scoring.
that's right. I went to Albion Rovers, and the guy who was in charge of Albion Rovers was a guy, Andy Ritchie. He was a player at Morton, and he was one of the star players in Scotland at the time. He'd won the Player of the Year and things. So he took over, and he says to me, I know you played left half at Morton, but you can play as a free role up front, because that was the role he played at Morton. So anyway, he played on the wing and I played like free role, and things just went great. You know, I scored 31 goals, and delighted. He only lasted a month and then he chucked it, so I had to carry on, you know, throughout the year.
And it was at that stage, after you'd scored a lot of goals and you were Scotland's leading goal scorer, that you decided that you wanted a career in England?
Well, that's right. 31 goals, and the guy who was in charge at the time, there was Joe Baker, ex-Torino and Hibs. He was in charge after Andy Ritchie left, and the chairman was a guy, Tom Fagan, and they had said that no club had come in for me, and I found that hard to believe, scoring 31 goals, you know. I thought if I don't get a club now, I'll never get a club. I was even prepared to hang up my boots.
So what happened when you heard from Middlesbrough?
What I can remember, I came in trial. I came originally for like the weekend or for a week, and I played, and my first game was against Grimsby, reserves at Grimsby. I think it ended up 0-0, and I had a few shots at goal, never scored, did okay, nothing great or that. And then I went home, and then the manager phoned and said, would you be prepared to come for a month? So I thought, well, a month, you know, I've got this part-time job. If I go in a month, things don't work out, I'll come back and I'll be on the dole. So I wasn't prepared to come for the month. So anyway, I phoned the manager, Willie Maddren at the time, and he wasn't in. It was a Friday night, I think it was. And I says on his answer machine that, sorry, I couldn't come for the month. And that was it. I was wanting to keep my job back in Scotland. So I put the phone down, and I remember my father saying, that's you, you've wasted another chance, you know.
I was a little bit doubtful whether he would come back, as he seemed a little bit homesick when he first came. I rang him back up, said I'd like to have another look at him, and I think Leeds had shown some interest at that particular time. He agreed to come back. We put him up in digs for another couple of nights, and he played the following week against Bradford City, and he scored 2 goals and he made 2 goals, and you know, I think he had a standing ovation from about 50 people that were watching the reserve team match that night. And it was obvious to everybody and sundry that he had something, you know, to offer.
So the following morning, Willie Maddren, the manager, had called me in and signed me.
Was there a bit of a panic on in your own mind at the time to try and get this lad signed up before somebody else got in there as well?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, there was 1 or 2 managers that were watching the game, and I said to the night watchman or to the physio to tell the night watchman to lock the gates. I didn't want anybody hanging around outside. I contacted the Albion Rovers chairman at his home, and he wasn't in. He'd gone to the Rangers match that night, and I didn't reach him until I think it was about 12:15. But in the meantime, I tried to contact my own chairman. I wanted to sign Bernie that night, and you know, without any delay, because obviously people would have been watching and would have seen the performance the same as I did. And my chairman was away on business, so I contacted one of the directors, I believe it was Steve Gibson, and I said, look, we've got to sign this guy tonight, because if we don't, somebody's going to step in and you know, we're going to miss out. Would he give me permission to, you know, to push the deal through? And he said, providing it wasn't over a certain amount, he would put his head on the block and say yes. And I put my own head on the block because I knew he would prove me right in the long term. I eventually raised the Albion Rovers chairman. I think it was about 12:15. He'd had a few whiskies down him. He'd been to the Rangers match and he'd had a good night. He said he wanted £60,000. Well, £60,000 to me at that time was the same as saying, well, you know, it was £1.5 million to Middlesbrough. I said it was outrageous. You know, he was in dispute with the club, and I offered him terms. We eventually settled. I think it was £15,000 down and 10 if he played 20 appearances. And there was no doubt that he was going to play 20 games. I was virtually pinching myself at the other end of the phone to say, please say yes. He agreed. We had a gentleman's agreement over the phone, and he said he would send the forms through the next morning. And we quickly signed Bernie up the next day before anybody had an opportunity to, you know, to contact him.
Now, you made your debut fairly quickly on. I think you got about 8 goals in the first 30 games of that season, so it wasn't a spectacular start, but it was steady.
Well, I get 9 goals. People say I get 1 in the full members cup. People don't count that, but that counted. There's 9 goals, but I'd missed like the first quarter of the season, and I had to adjust. And I enjoyed it, although I'd come down. I enjoyed the game, but I never enjoyed the area. It was strange, you know, when I first came into Teesside and seen all the smoke in the air and things. I got a bad impression of it. But as time got on, you know, it's a great place.
What were those first days like when Bernie came to the club?
Well, when Bernie first came to the club, we were in a few problems, shall we say, financially and both like on the pitch as well. We're bottom of the second division. Like I say, the money problems were mounting, and as you know, they were eventually to cause the closure of the football club. So when Bernie came, things were quite depressing at the time. But he sort of breathed a bit of life into the dressing room, you know, with his Scottish accent, you know. It sort of, the lads had a bit of a laugh trying to understand what he was trying to say. He used to ask, like, Tony McAndrew and Gary Hamilton to sort of decipher it, like, you know. But even in the first games that he played in the reserve games, I was still in reserves at the time, he could see he just had a knack to score goals. He lived to score goals, you know. And sure enough, Willie Maddren saw that in him and bought him.
Bernie was introduced to the Scottish Premier League by Morton, making his debut as a substitute in a 3-0 win over Airdrieonians on the 17th of October 1981. He registered his first goal in the return fixture with Airdrie, a 1-1 draw. Bernie's debut for Middlesbrough was in the number 9 shirt, but he's superstitious and always prefers to wear the number 7.
You really picked up once Bruce Rioch got in charge and you actually got playing games again. It seemed to be a snowball effect, didn't it?
That's right. Bruce came and he turned. I think the club was badly run down. Not from a manager's point of view, just right throughout the club. And Bruce came and totally changed that. You know, his background, being a disciplinarian, and his father an ex-army man, and that. It certainly took its toll on the players. He made you shave every day, come smart to training. Some young lads would even talk to cut their hair, things like that. And he totally changed the place. But for the good, because he's done a great job.
He was a hard man.
He was a hard man, you know what I mean? Bruce had a few, what do they call it, well, bust-ups or, you know, words to exchange. But I still respected the guy, and to this day I respect him. He was a great disciplinarian, definitely knew the game. He used to really G you up, you know, you felt 10 foot tall before you went out each match.
Well, I think at the initial period in 1986, going into the first season, as I mentioned earlier, I put him up front and I played him alongside an old stalwart named Archie Stevens. And Archie was the old-fashioned centre-forward who took all the knocks and bumps, scored his 20 goals a season, but was capable of looking after Bernie, taking the brunt of the attack for Bernie, but also laying on chances, in particular heading chances, crosses that would come into the box. Archie would rise in the penalty box and knock chances down, and Bernie would appreciate, anticipate those opportunities and tuck them away. And I think they had a good understanding in that respect. And I think that first season, first full season for him, he himself would appreciate the work that Archie did for him. Thereafter, he really blossomed in his own right as a player, and was leading goal scorer on every single occasion that I was with him at the club. Natural goal scorer, and his goals naturally were vital for the team. When you have a striker, you expect 25 goals a season from him. Whether they can deliver that is a different matter. But Bernie Slaven is capable, and I've been very surprised in any given season that he plays football of not scoring at the very minimum 20 goals a season.
The goal scoring started to really go during that third division season. It must have been difficult for Middlesbrough supporters as well, because I mean, you were playing teams like Darlington in the league, and that was like humiliating for Middlesbrough to be in the same division as Darlington. I mean, you went there, didn't you? And I think you got a goal there.
That's right. I can't remember the goal. Like, I think it was one each. Was it one each? Yeah, it was one each. And as you say, go to Darlington isn't the greatest place. No disrespect, but Middlesbrough are a big club, big setup, and going to places like Darlington, I think Chester, Wigan, you know, it was bad. But full credit to the players. We kept going, and we came through that.
And it was a great season.
It was a fantastic season. You know, we got promotion first bite. After going down, Bruce brought us straight back up, and it was a terrific season. Everybody played their part.
It was the Wigan game that finally got you up, but ironically that was a goalless draw, wasn't it?
That's right, it was 0-0. I think I had a couple of chances that night, missed them. But I remember there was a couple of minutes to go and the referee had blew his whistle, and I remember the fans all running on, thinking that was it. But Archie Stevens had a great chance in the last minute. The keeper made a great save. At the end of the day, we got promotion, and it was a fantastic experience.
And when you went up into the second division, it just seemed that everything kept on rolling.
That's right, you know, we went into the second again, and the same thing happened. We played good football, the goals were coming, and again at the end of it, we got promotion. That was a great year, like, you know, Bradford-Chelsea playoffs. Great crowds, a lot of coverage, TV and press, and that was one of the best times.
You should actually have gone up as one of the top two clubs. You made it hard for yourself towards the end of that season, didn't you, by having to go the long way round through the playoffs?
That's right, we beat Barnsley. It was on I don't know the date, but we beat them on a Saturday, and we knew the following week we had Leicester at home, and we just had to beat Leicester to get promoted. Well, we came here and it was a big carnival atmosphere. I remember yous were there, and it all went totally wrong. We got beat 2-1. Leicester they were probably one of the best teams we'd played all season. On the day, Gary McAllister, Scott, outstanding. Very disappointing. That was one of the, you know. But after the game, Bruce got us all together and says, "Look, we can still make it," and he gave us a great boost.
But Bradford, the semi-finals of the playoffs were superb games, weren't they? Both home and away.
That's right. We went to Bradford and was it one each?
Well, you lost down there.
We lost there, but Trevor scored a goal, didn't he? Trevor Senior got a vital goal, and we came back here. What was it? 2-1 at Bradford.
2-1 down there.
2-1 down there, and we brought them back here.
To extra time.
And it went extra time. Gary Hamilton was outstanding at Ersam, and he scored, I scored, and that was us set for Chelsea. And Chelsea, they were still in the first division, and we knew that was going to be a right tough tie. And there were certain Chelsea players in the press saying they were going to do this and that to Middlesbrough. But they came up here, and we beat them 2-0.
And that was the senior Slaven partnership.
That's right. Slaven Senior scored a goal apiece, and the team as a whole played well that night. But then it was on to Stamford Bridge, and we knew the pressure was really on, because they were saying the press had previously beat a team 4-0 when they'd been a couple of goals down, and we were a wee bit, you know, we were looking forward to it, but we were a bit, not frightened, we were a bit, you know. So we went there, and they scored a goal early on, and I missed one. I went over I mind it coming off the bar, and I've headed it, which isn't my best point, and it's went over the bar. But we kept that result, and we gained promotion. But there was great support from Middlesbrough there that day, and well-behaved support.
When you came back to Teesside, though, you literally stopped the town, didn't you?
That's right. I thought we'd won the World Cup or something. Yeah, the whole town, every work and all the office workers were all on top of the roof at the City Hall, and they gave us a great reception. I remember we got the reception and we had great support here, and then we went to America. That for me sort of spoiled it in a way, because after gaining promotion, getting a civic reception, and then having to go to America when nobody knows you, sort of killed it a bit, you know.
When you went up into the first division, were you concerned that maybe the goals would perhaps dry up then, or were you confident that you could score goals there?
Coming into the first division, I was confident I would score goals if I got the service. I don't think you don't lose your touch. I know it's a harder division and that, but I believe if I get the chance I would score goals. And I remember talking to yourself and saying that to you, I would get a few. I didn't know how many, but I ended up with 18, 15 league goals. I was probably the fourth highest in the league at that time, the first division, and I think I'd done well.
And you got a hat-trick as well. You got the hat-trick at Coventry.
That's right.
First division hat-trick.
That's right, the hat-trick was probably the best hat-trick I've scored. Since I came from Scotland to play for Middlesbrough, I think I scored about 6 hat-tricks, but that without a doubt was the best. And I don't think there was any better place than to score it in the first division. And it was against a good side in Coventry. And I remember David Speedy scoring a hat-trick, 3 goals with his head. Smallest lad in the field, he scored 3 with his head. My goals were all probably on my left foot.
Well, that was typical, that game. I mean, you won 4-3, cracking game, and Middlesbrough weren't playing for most of the season like a relegation side. It was an exciting time still.
That's right. People were saying we were probably playing some of the best football of our careers as a team, and we were playing some great stuff. But I think as the season got on, the last 17 games, we get in a rut and we never get out of it. And we ended up, I don't think we won a game in the last 17.
When it was February, it was Coventry again, the team you got a hat-trick against, that you scored with a 1-1 draw, and you were 10th then.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. February you were 10th, it still looks okay. But things, once you get in a rut, you just can't get out of them, and that's exactly what happens. You know, we all sort of started losing confidence as a team, and the heads were dropping, and the goals were getting in against us. One of the things that favoured us the previous seasons was the defence was superb, and Bruce used to say to the defence, any mistakes that you make, you would maybe get away with them in the third or the second, but you wouldn't get away with them in the first. And that was proved. Any small mistakes were punished.
But you were still serving up the games. I mean, you had a 3-3 against Everton, you had a 3-3 against Southampton.
That's right, we were getting results, but they weren't the best results. We were getting draws, which were good, but you know, if we score 3 at home to Everton, we're hoping to beat them. But they were scoring 3, you know, and it wasn't doing us any good. Draws were okay, but not as good as we would have wanted. At home, we always had a good home record, and in the first division it started to disappear.
What about your own goal scoring in the first division? I mean, any goals that particularly stand out in your memory?
The 3 against Coventry, I think, were 3 the better goals that I've scored. Try to think the other goals. One Southampton. I remember somebody put the ball out wide right, and I've come in on my left, and I've hit it for maybe 25, 30 yards. This went right in the top corner. And that was the kind of goal that Bruce again had said, oh, you can only score inside the box, winding me up. And that season I probably scored about 4 to 6 long range shots, which was well outside the box. And that was sort of a point proof to Bruce that I could do it, you know.
As a goal scorer, you've always mixed it up a fair bit, haven't you? You've scored goals, you've had your tap-ins, and you get your long-range ones.
That's right. Managers talk a players being in the box, the right place, right time, and there's other guys who hit the spectacular goals. But I think my goals vary. The years I've been here, I think they all vary. I've even scored some in my head. But they do vary. I've scored with my right, I've scored with my left, scored outside the box, inside the box. And long may it continue.
It must have been a fairy tale for you when you think back to writing around to the clubs and then coming down here and the liquidation, and there you were, you'd ended up 2 seasons in the First Division.
That's right, it's a dream. You know, my ambitions when I first came were to play full-time football, which I did, and then hopefully you dream of getting to Wembley. I'm maybe going a bit far ahead, but to gain promotion, you know, for the third to the second, second to first, and everybody's ambition is to play in the First Division, which is probably the top league in Britain, or is in the world.
Yes, we were saying that round about the March-April time in the First Division, it really looked as though you were going to be fairly secure. There was the game down at West Ham where you turned it all around in the last few minutes and got a couple of goals. You must remember that one.
That's right. We didn't have a particularly good game. It was pretty scrappy first half. But second half, late on, it all changed about. I think it came for corner kick, if I'm right. Great corner kick, and Gary Pallister flicked on, and I was at the back post to head it in. And then the second one was similar. Flick on for Pallister, and I was there again. And we'd won like 2-1, and they just couldn't believe it. And all the press the next day were saying, oh, Middlesbrough must surely stop in the First Division after a great result. But how wrong they were, because it never kept us there.
But did you believe all the time that you would survive it, even though you knew it was tight?
That's right. After that result, I thought, oh, another 1 or 2 here, and that's us stopping in the First Division. And I think the lads, and I knew the fans, all thought like that. But we were all wrong, because just never kept us there.
You had another game down at Villa, from what I remember. Just thought
That's
that one
right.
now where you drew and you really should have walked it.
That's right. There was we scored as well. We were 1-1-0, and then the last minute Villa scored, and that killed us. I think that was probably the one that took us down.
And then Sheffield Wednesday, when you went down on the last day of the season, it was the only time you were in a relegation position, was the only time that it matters on the last day.
That's right. I think Aston Villa had to win on the day, and we had to win. And unfortunately for us, Aston Villa won, and we get beat. And that was another sad day for us. You know.
How big a blow was that after 2 years when everything had been on and up?
Oh, without a doubt, that was probably the worst I felt, because we'd been successful, you know, the third, second, first, and then after one season to be back in the second was very disappointing. Not just for me, for the rest of the team and for the managers.
Away from the big time, Bernie has always been conscious of his position as a professional footballer and of the game's role in society. He spends hours helping the community programme and loves staging coaching sessions for budding young footballers. These youngsters couldn't have a better instructor. Maybe some will become heroes at Ayresome Park.
Unfortunately, though, when you came down to the second division, probably everybody expected you to bounce straight back, but it just didn't happen, did it?
That's right, everybody had tipped us to go straight back up, and we ended up like second bottom or something, third bottom, and it was a disastrous season. Nothing went right.
Didn't start badly, though, because you remember it was Wolves on the opening day, and you chipped in with a couple of goals you were straight off in for.
That's right, from a personal point of view, you know, I enjoyed it. I'd probably my best season as a goal scorer. But it's a team game, and my ambition and my target every season is to, it's not goals, it's to get promotion. And throughout that season we really struggled, you know. As you say, we had a great start with Wolves, 4-2, and then Sheffield, but then the games just started to slip away.
You got 7 goals in the first 7 games.
Did I? Yeah, that was great, as I say, but if the results aren't going, it's to no avail.
What about when Bruce Rioch went? I mean, that must have been a very difficult time at the club, because he had been associated with everything that was good and that was progressive about the club, but it eventually turned sour.
That's right, Bruce had done a fantastic job in his time here. But what had happened when Bruce took us, there was a lot of teenagers in the team, and as the years went on, the lads were growing up, and the things that Bruce maybe have said then weren't working. The lads were getting older, and you know, they weren't feeling the same way about Bruce. And Bruce, I think, had went as far as he could go with the lads, and before he went, he got us to Wembley for the first time in Middlesbrough's history. And I think at the least we could have let him lead the team out, but it wasn't to be. He left before it.
Obviously you lost in that Zenith Data final, but it was still a great occasion for the Middlesbrough to actually break that big duck about never having been to Wembley.
That's right, you know, I remember playing the game here against Aston Villa, and we'd scored and then they had scored, and I thought to myself, although I always think you'll get a goal, I thought, oh, here we go, the old hoodoo's back, you know, we're not going to get there. But we did get there, and it broke that saying that there was a curse on us or whatever. But there's been better teams than us in the past, but they've never got to Wembley. But we got there, and I think it was 35,000 we took there. So it showed you how much it meant to the public.
Are you surprised maybe that other managers haven't come in the last 4 or 5 years and snapped him up?
Yeah, Bernie, he seems as if he's been content at Middlesbrough. He's been scoring goals. The club have had success. They've gone down, but there's never been a dull moment at Middlesbrough over the last 6 years. They've either been involved in relegation or they've been involved in promotion. And, you know, they're still in there with a shout this year. They're coming together at the right time. And I think while they're looking as if they can stay in the First Division or get back in the First Division, I think Bernie will be quite happy to stay there. But I think he's a guy that'll score goals in any company, without a doubt. If you put him in the Liverpool side where they do hand opportunities on a plate, I think he'd score as many goals as Ian Rush. Not quite the same type of player. Bernie's not as quick as Rushy, but I think he's alive with anything around the box. That was the thing that excited me. A half chance. He knew where the ball might arrive, and he always took an opportunity to get into that space and say, right, if it does drop in there, that's where I'm going to be, and I'm going to put it away. And, you know, he's obviously a proven goal scorer.
One of the funny things that stands out in my mind over Bernie is that Willie, his boots were shocking. The boots he brought down from Scotland were shocking. I mean, he's going to hate me for saying this, but very unprofessional. The studs were worn, they were tattery, like him, really. And we took him to a well-known sports outfitters in Middlesbrough, who does most of the gear for Middlesbrough Football Club. And he showed Bernie all these boots, you know, ranging from £30 up to £80, you know, the very latest. And Bernie settled, I may be wrong on this, he settled for a pair of Puma Dalglish. I may be wrong, and they were the cheapest boot in the shop, and the proprietor couldn't believe that he was picking these boots as a striker. And he said to Bernie, you know, these are much better, these expensive ones, Bernie, more comfortable, fit you better. And then Bernie said to him, it's not the boot, it's what's inside them that counts, he said. And he said that just off the cuff like that. And I often think how true that's been.
It's very much a part of the team that yourself and Bruce Rioch built up at that time, and the system you had going, and Bernie was the sort of the bit of icing on the cake up front, wasn't he?
Yeah, since liquidation days, and then the club was taken over by the new board of directors. Bernie has just gone on from strength to strength, and as you've seen now, he's even progressed into an international. So I mean that speaks volumes for Bernie. Good for the club, and good for supporters.
He did it in the first division, which you know better than most people is where it really counts, and that was the big test for him, perhaps, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, it counts if you're in the first division. We were in the first division at the time, and he proved again that he can do it there. But obviously, we're a bit unfortunate, we got relegated. And here we are now. I mean, even last season, when we struggled, he got, I believe, something like 30 goals in all competitions. And up to this moment in time, he's got 18 goals now in the second division. So he's well on course for another 30 goals, and I hope he achieves that.
It was a nerve-jangling end to last season because it all came down to the game against Newcastle. I mean, it was amazing the way the three North East clubs were all trying to get out the second division, and the way their whole fortunes became locked together. I mean, that last game of the season was an incredible affair.
That's right. I remember seeing like the local guys like Mickey Quinn and McGee in the papers with their shotguns and their soft hats, and this isn't a dig, this is just like what we seen in the press. They were going to shoot Middlesbrough down and get into the first, and people were just saying, oh, Middlesbrough's going to get beat today, but it so happened that we battered them on a day. We beat them 4-1, and it was a great game.
And it just saved the club again, didn't it, that result?
Oh, without a doubt, that saved the club. It kept us up, and some of the fans forgave us for the whole season. You know, daft as it sounds, some of the fans, like, if you won the derby games, are happy, which is stupid, but to beat Newcastle last game and to stay in the second was like winning the league.
What has he got? What's his talent that maybe singles him out from the players that come and go and have flashes of goal scoring but don't string it together season after season?
Well, I mean, obviously the first thing is that he can stick the ball in the back of the net. I mean, everybody would look at that and say, well, that's his forte. But apart from that, I mean, he's got good ability on the ball. His control's as good as anybody's in the league, I believe, in the first division. And he can create for himself, as you've seen. It's not only just little tap-ins he gets. I mean, he can pick the ball up from outside the area. He can go with people, and he can crash them in with his left foot. I mean, he's even improved on his heading. So overall, his ability to score goals is what matters, and he can get them from outside the box, he can get them in from inside the box, he can get them with his head. And he's just that natural goal-scoring talent that people have. I mean, Jimmy Greaves was the same, the ability to score goals when other people can't do it.
I think one of his greatest goals was the winner against Aston Villa in the second leg of the Zenith final. Final stage before we went to Wembley, and it epitomised what I mean by a great goal scorer as against a score of great goals. But on this occasion, this was a great goal also. the ball was played from a corner into the penalty box. I think it was an overhead kick by another Middlesbrough player, and the ball bounced down in and around the 6-yard box, and Bernie came to meet it with his back to the goal, took it to one pace to his right with his right foot, and in the same movement swivelled and put the ball into the top left-hand corner of the net. Now, when you analyse that goal and break it down, it is absolutely phenomenal. The actual awareness and appreciation that he had, and only he in our team could have scored that type of goal. And naturally it was a crucial goal because it saw us through to the final at Wembley. But he scored many other great goals, many other simple tap-ins, and most of a goal scorer's goals are tap-ins. Some balls coming into the 6-yard box, simple headers. But that goal for me stands out as being the difference between a top-class goal scorer and an ordinary goal scorer.
Of course, the other main feature of all this time was that suddenly Bernie Slaven, the man with the great Scottish accent, suddenly became an Irishman. Now, how did all that come about, the whole Republic of Ireland career?
No, what had happened, I had been talking in the press about international. I wasn't talking about, people were asking me, and I remember I had spoke to a few people for the press, and then all of a sudden Bruce Rioch, the manager at the time, put in the press, Slaven should shut up about who he wants to play for. He should go on his own game at Middlesbrough. If he's want to play with Ireland, England, whatever he was saying all his names, he says they'll pick him. You know, he doesn't have to talk about it. So I did shut up for a while, and then somebody was talking about Scotland again, and I says I don't think they know I'm Scottish, you know, sarcastically. And then it ended up, I just says to one of the press guys, well, maybe I'll get a game for Ireland because I've got Irish grandparents. And I wasn't putting it as a plug, I was just saying it as a sort of a sarcastic remark. Anyway, things developed. There was a few people caught in the press and started putting Slaven as eligible for Ireland. And I met Jack up at Newcastle, and Jack had says to me, you know, keep yourself vacant, and I'll give you a game. And after I think it was Portsmouth at home, we played. And I remember coming off at half time, I'd played outside left, and I never got a kick. You know, I don't like on the left wing, as you know. And I never got a kick, and I remember coming in at half time, we'd scored a goal, 1-0, we were leading, Paul Kerr had scored the goal. And we had come in, and I says to Bruce, look, I'm not happy with there. I said, you can get a dummy to play in that left wing. You know, I never get a kick. So anyway, we had a wee rumpus, and a few exchange of words. Second half I went out, scored a goal, sort of delighted the fact that I'd been back in the middle. And then after the game, Bruce shook my hands, all's forgiven, and then he says that Jack was going to phone me on the Monday, that I was being called up into the squad to play against Wales, and that was a dream.
I'm sure you've come up against some characters in football, but playing for Ireland under Jack Charlton must be quite the experience.
Jack's one of the funniest guys I've ever met. You know, I think he's funny. No, he's great. He's a fantastic character. And throughout the World Cup, he was kidding and joking, and you know, just straight up to before kick-off, then he gets serious. You know, and what he says goes. Whatever plans he says you do in the park, you do them, or you're out. It's as simple as that. And all the lads, they all play with great teams like the Liverpools, Evertons, but they all have to adjust to the way Jack plays.
But he's a one-off, isn't he? The way the things he says and does, you wouldn't believe.
Without doubt, he's a one-off. He kept saying to me throughout the 6 weeks, "You're a tramp," you know. And I'm looking at him, and his trousers are like half-mast with white socks on, and he's calling me a tramp. But he kept saying, "Oh, you're a scruffy lad," and that, you know. And he's just a great character. You know, he knows how to talk to players. He knows how to get them G'd up before a game, and he knows what to say at the right times. And he's funny. Really funny guy.
When you're off to the World Cup.
That's right. You know, people say I went to the World Cup. Was I disappointed not playing? How could I be disappointed? I only played a game and a half when I got to the World Cup. You know, there's better players than me. Never been to a World Cup. I only played a game and a half. A game against Wales, game against Finland, and Jack took me. So I couldn't complain.
Now, this is a special one. Not many people have got that sort of football memory, have they?
That's right. Couldn't believe it. what had happened, I was keeping in touch with the local radio, and every day they were phoning asking what's happening in the World Cup. Anyway, they phoned this morning and they says, oh, you're on the back of all the national press. And I thought maybe Middlesbrough selling me. Anyways, it turns out it was me, Jack the Pope, in the back of the papers. So right away I phoned my wife and told her to get all the press cuttings. But I couldn't believe it. This one came from Italy. I think it was my parents that sent away, checked and got it for me. And terrific thing to keep.
Still joking. Who's that with Bernie Slaven and Jake?
That's
Charlton?
right, I've heard that, Josh.
This is the whole squad, is it?
That's right, that's the 22 players who were in Italy. As I say, even Jack signed it, so that's one to keep.
You're obviously very proud of that, even though you didn't get called into action.
Oh, without a doubt, you know, even to be there, as I say, it's only to play 1.5 games and to get taken to the World Cup was a great experience.
Are you a bit of a souvenir collector, are you? You've got
I'm not a souvenir collector, I'm just a hoarder. You know, I just happen to keep things and... Yeah, these ones are like one for the promotional years. These are all got number 7 on the back. Should have. They've all got 7.
Did you pick the number 7? Did you anything in that?
What do you mean did I pick it? When I originally came, the first 2... Albion Rovers, I wore 7. And then when I came down here, they gave me 9. And I thought, that's a pressure shot. So get rid of that. But 7's always the number that I've liked, you know. And since then I've played number 7.
And these are a couple from the Evening Gazette, 1987 and 88, the promotions. I mean, that great scenes that when you were taking the salute there.
That's right, that's come up for the 3rd division. And this one was going into the 1st. Shows you how times change, you know. There's Bruce Rioch cuddling the chairman, and now Bruce is at Millwall. But there's me and the skipper Tony Mowbray. And they were great times, you know, they're good things to have.
It's worth all the work then. You really got your full value out of celebrating, did you?
That's right, yeah, I got the full value. I even had a glass of champagne. Me being teetotal, I had a glass of champagne. But great times, great things to keep.
Got a fair few souvenirs here, Bernie, from the years. Any particular ones here that bring back some good memories?
I think they're all memories, really. Good memories. These represent the hat-tricks. Probably the one against Coventry, as I said earlier on, that's probably the best one. But Blackpool, that was my first hat-trick down here. And that holds a special memory. That there was 2nd Division Player of the Year in Scotland. That was the year I got the goals. And that's a big thing. These are Middlesbrough supporters and Player of the Year.
It's great to get awards from the fans because I mean they do pay the money after all. They pay your wages.
Oh, without the fans, there's no game. There's no atmosphere. The fans are the biggest part of the game. This one was a Middlesbrough fan who gave us it just to represent the 28th of March, the goal against Wales. So that's another.
And that was just a fan sent it?
That was just a fan. He gave me it on the plaque. I don't even know who he was. He just jumped over and said, there you go. That was for the Ireland game. So that was great, you know. Couple of Player of the Month at the back. That's Albion Rovers Player of the Year. That was the clubs and that was the players.
That's one of your favourite ones, that, the Hennessy Cognac North East Football of the Year award, 1988-89 season. I mean, that was the consolation prize, wasn't it, really, for when you went down?
That's right, we went down and this made up for it, you know. It was disappointing going down after a year in the 1st Division. But this was one of the biggest things I've got in football up to now.
It's not surprised you then that he's been so successful? No. I've always said he would get right to the top. I've told everybody that, right from the first day we saw him. Willie Maddren and I couldn't get home fast enough because Willie had to contact Alf Duffield, was the chairman, and to see if we could scrape a bit of money together to get him before anyone else.
What sort of a pro is he?
Trains very hard. I mean, he comes in probably 5 minutes before 10 o'clock, rushes to get ready, but once he's on the training ground, he trains very hard. No problems there. I think he's dedicated to doing well for himself and for the team.
And now you're back with Middlesbrough again, and the 2nd Division promotion bandwagon's up and rolling.
That's right. We've had a good season up to now. There's about 18 games left. I'm in a good position. We're 4th in the league. I wouldn't say we've played the best football of our careers over the last 5-6 years, but we're getting the results, and sometimes the results are more important.
You'll still be knocking them in there.
Yeah, I'm happy I've scored a few, and as long as we get promotion I'll be delighted. I don't. As long as I've scored a few and helped to the cause, the main aim is promotion, and I'll be delighted to get promotion again into the first.
Presumably his goals have been absolutely vital over the last few years because he's consistently scored them no matter what the position has been.
That's right. It's I mean, I made a comment in the paper this year about when Bernie was out the side. If you play Bernie for 42 games or 46 as it is, he's going to guarantee you 25, 30 goals. If you only play him for 30 games, you know the ratio goes down. And I think that's a fair comment. Bernie's done it when we've been struggling, finished fourth bottom of the second division. He's still got 20 odd goals, and getting promotion 2 years on the trot, he's got 25, 30 goals. This year he's looking on course for another 25, 30 goals. It's an amazing ratio, isn't it?
Do you try to look for him in matches, or is it just a matter of doing your own thing and then he just pops up?
I think now, as sort of we're starting to play more and more together, I do look for him, yeah. As I say, we played Charlton on Saturday. As soon as I got the ball, I looked for him, and Bernie's like one of those players. He's always sort of on the fringes of things, and he's always easy to find in and around the area.
Bernie, I mean, while he's here, he's got to continue, and I'd love him to continue scoring goals, and he can do that.
Making reacted well.
Phillips with the free kick.
That's a great header.
Oh, it's gone in, and Slaven looks to be claiming it. Mowbray was up there, but Slaven is celebrating too, and suddenly Middlesbrough have struck out of nowhere.
That's super. Cross in. Mowbray's attacked it like a giant he is. A great header, and Bernie Slaven's on the move with just a little nick.
Mostow, Slaven, Baird, all ahead of him. Still with Ripley. And he's got round Nielsen. Ripley. It's there again. 3-0. Slaven jumps on Ripley. And takes a salute again. And surely there's no way back now for Newcastle. Burridge absolutely furious.
Oh, good bit of play here. I mean, he's done the youngster a treat. He's got round the back. Little one through the legs. Good low hard cross to the far post, and they're queuing up for it. And Slaven's the first one there.
He's done it in the third, second and first. He's done it at international level. He's got to have respect of other players. I mean, you only have to just look at his goal scoring record. It's unbelievable.
We've got a saying in the club, I mean, a bit joking amongst the lads, but he's the best we've ever seen sort of at finishing. And I mean, I've been here 10 years and there's nobody comparable to how Bernie strokes the ball away in five-a-sides.
Now the ambition obviously is to get back into the first division with Middlesbrough.
That's right. Number one priority is to get back there. As I say, we're fourth at the minute, and we've got every chance of being in the first three or the playoffs. And I'm sure we can do it, provided we keep working together and believe in ourselves.
If the thick Glasgow brogue seems out of place in the Irish camp, the owner, Bernie Slaven, most certainly isn't. For the man with the graceful bearing who dances round defenders with as smooth a two-step as you are likely to see is very much one of the boys. Be it in the red shirt of Middlesbrough or the green of Ireland, Bernie Slaven, whose own determination and drive has seen him through, is now firmly established as one of the game's great entertainers.